Like the rejection you feel from whatever circumstance it is God's protection and redirection.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Amy, I think you're really brilliant. Yeah, I don't know from where to start, but I have a question for you because everyone talk about how to deal with failure. Nobody really
Yes.
talks about how to deal with success, and this happened to me. Yeah, particularly when I started my first property business. At the beginning, I have all these challenges, how to find the first client, and I was wearing all the hats and everything. But once I started to employ people, something Michael happened. Like everybody that I employed, they were better than me at everything, and I was so happy about it. I was telling everybody, "You won't believe my employees; they're brilliant. They're amazing. They sell the product more expensive than me, more faster. What these people? How brilliant are these people?" And so one day I arrived to the office, and they told me, "In Harry, go home. We don't need you anymore. We can actually run this business without you." I'm like, "What? You don't even need paper in the photocopy?" They're telling me, "No, Harry, we can get our own paper and our own photocopy." So I went home. I didn't know if that was a good news, if that is something good happened to me, or if I made my obsolete in my own company. I just went home. They sent me home, and I went home. They told me, "Go on holiday, travel the world. Who cares? Don't come." They were my managers. They were telling me, they were very sharp. The girls, they were telling me, "Actually, don't come here because you have nothing to do. You come here, you talk to us, you don't let us work. You should be at home or traveling." So anyway, so there I was at my house, just making all this money, all this kind of money, doing nothing, and watching movies in the dark. And I was this type of person that I was this kind of boss that I wanted that when they go on Friday for a drink, they take me with them. It was my biggest fear. Like, no, 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 let's not invite the boss. He's the boss. Let him out. Let's go without him. No way
Mm.
that always happened in my company. I was with my team as most close as possible in the culture to make sure they don't let me
Yeah.
out when they go to have fun. So I was one of them, and all of a sudden now they're sending me home, and now I cannot be one of them anymore. They so, and then my brain is at home watching movies all day, and all this money coming, and I'm thinking, how come I'm doing all this money, doing nothing? This is something wrong with me. And then I went and opened a restaurant, and I lost over 200,000 pounds and 2 years of
Oh,
my life. And I mean, I don't regret it. It was the biggest MBA in business, master in business administration to have
yes.
my whole life. Because when things don't work, is when you actually learn a lot.
Yes.
But again, you somehow you can say that I could travel the world. This is what they wanted from me. My team, they didn't do it. I could do invest in property. I could do a lot of things, but that negative emotion that you have in that process of building that business, if you don't release that, and then you're out of it, it's like you lose your identity. So you don't know
Exactly.
what to do, and you are one minute to make one decision that you can actually lose it out. Yeah, talking
Yeah.
because of
True. True.
experience. So Amy, how you managed to, and someone in this podcast did the story, by the way, that it was one person that they they was exiting the company, and they were offering a lot of millions for it, and the person was coming always saying, "Well, I don't think it's the right price. Well, I want to wait 3 months." And everybody was telling me, "Come on, they're giving you very good money for the business. Just let it go." And in the end, what happened was that the person didn't want to actually sell the business because he was thinking himself, if I sell this, who am I gonna become? My people in my community are not gonna talk to me anymore because I'm not gonna be one of them anymore. I'm gonna be the multi-millionaire with this big house, and it was just a simple guy with just a successful business, and the guy was hiding with blaming everything when actually was him that he had this fear of dealing with the success. So, Amy, tell us when I think that this is important because, again, we need to talk about it because dealing with success, everyone says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for him. He's so exit the company for a lot of millions." And well, it can have a huge impact on your mental health because we've been there. So, Amy, tell us how you overcome that challenge, which I know that is huge because your head don't stop. It's keep
Yeah.
going on and on and on and on and on. And you cannot even
Yeah.
sleep. You get depressed. So how you overcome to and where do you find help? Because again, not too many people talk about this.
Yeah, this is a great, well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story. It's like I felt like I was part of it. Like I relate to that so much. And secondly, I love that you have these people that were just loyal to you and they could send you home. Like you did something really right. And culture is everything. When I had my team before the venture capitalists came in, we called ourselves the Cali family. And I
Oh
actually let
wow.
I let my team pick their own titles. So we didn't have traditional CEO, COO, CMO. They picked their own titles and everybody had a place. And I will say that a
They
couple
can name
people,
themselves however they want it, right?
yes,
Wow,
I
that's
mean I had to
amazing.
I approved it, but
Yeah,
yes, I
exactly.
let them pick their title and it told me a lot about them,
Hmm.
what they picked. But I had a couple people that didn't fit in the positions that I put them in. And so rather than letting them go, I put them in a different position and tested that. And there was one woman who I had to put in 4 different positions before we found something that she really thrived in. And so kudos to you to be able to go home and the business is wildly successful. That means you did something right with culture. And I think that's really important. And it took me a long time to get the culture just right with our business. And I will say, when the venture capitalists came in, they eventually fired that entire team. And so here I am, very successful, right? I've made some money. I've put some money back in the business. So the exit, while it was an 8-figure exit, some of the money went back into the business, some went in my pocket. I moved my entire family out of Northern California because there was a fire that burned down the town that
Wow.
my parents and my aunt lived in. But their houses didn't burn, but they couldn't live in them because there was no running water, no electricity,
Hmm.
but they got
Wow.
no insurance. So I saw
Wow.
that as a sign, really, from God that it was time for me to sell my business. So I took that money and I moved all of them to Florida, including my husband, my 3 kids. We
Yay.
bought our dream house on the water. We always wanted to live on the water. I had everything, right? But I didn't have my business anymore. And so while I was on paper looked uber successful and nobody's feeling sorry for me, right? I have a brand new car. I bought my first brand new car. I always drove used cars. I had my house. I had my family. I helped my other, extended family to move, everything. Everybody was here. I had it all, and I was the most miserable I've ever been. Tells you money does not buy happiness. It really
Mm.
doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
No, it doesn't. And I, like you, got really restless. Now, I didn't watch movies all day. I can't do that, but I can feel you in that space. But
I
I
did
will
for
tell you,
six months. For 6 months,
there,
I was depressed. I was lonely.
yeah,
I do like movie, but so I need to
that was
find
your
a space that was
coping.
comfortable. Yeah, again.
Yeah, that was your coping mechanism, watching movies all day.
Hmm.
For me, I would put on a happy face. And this is right before COVID hit because the kids were going to school. Everybody would go to work or school. My husband retired, but then he got bored. He's a physician and he doesn't work for money. He works to help people. And
Hmm.
so he went back to work part time. Everybody would go and then I would cry. They would
You're
leave and
alone,
I would
all
cry
alone in the house, right?
all alone in the house, just sobbing, just crying, just pathetic. And then when they came home from school, I would put on makeup and fix my hair and be happy and put on a face but inside I felt like I was mourning a loss, like a death. And I
Hmm.
really thought cauliflower is like my fourth child. And the venture capitalists took it. And it was almost like having a child. Do you have children?
No, I don't. But
Okay.
I train.
Well,
I train thousands of people all over the world. So I can say that I have
So
so
you have a
many.
lot of children.
Oh yeah, thousands of them.
So this
They
is
call
like
me all the time though.
I use the analogy of like, this is my fourth child and it's grown up and now it's starting to date and it's dating this person that I can't stand. But if I go to my child and tell them I don't like this person, they're going to push me away. So the venture capitalist was like the date that I didn't like, the person I didn't like. But the more I told them how I thought they should run the business, the more they pushed me away. So they put me on sabbatical during this time and they changed all my passwords and they fired my team. And my team
Mm.
wouldn't speak to me for a while because they saw that I just made a bunch of money, I moved, and they all got fired.
And
Now,
then wow.
many of them I gave money to because I got money. So,
Mm-hmm.
like my right
Mm-hmm.
hand person, I gave her $500,000. I didn't have to, but I gave people
Wow.
money,
That's very kind
and
of you. Well done.
life changing money, but they were not speaking to me. They were devastated and hurt and mourning their loss. Now, fast forward, they all are either an investor in my current company or working with me. So we've mended that. But yeah, it was really difficult, and I definitely saw myself starting to go into a
Yeah,
spiral
feeling
where
like you betrayed, that you've been seen. It's out of your
yeah,
control, but then your team is seeing them like you betrayed them for money.
yes,
And this is not actually what happens. Is that when the VC
no,
takes over, they
no,
function in a different way because they want more growth faster, and they need
yeah,
they don't have time for this culture as we founders we
yeah.
have.
And
They,
I think too, because I was
I
on
mean,
the
that's the
board.
job. Yeah,
Yeah, they thought that I could control their outcome, and I really couldn't. Like the venture capitalists owned the majority of the business. They had the majority say. And while I carried a board
absolutely.
seat and a voting board seat, I was one vote. And so yeah, they were all let go. But I'm happy to say that they all work for me now or they're investors in the company now and actively involved, which is awesome. A true testament to the culture that we had with CaliFlour. But the way that I got over the I actually went to therapy for success. I actually literally did. I went into therapy, an outpatient therapy program that was dealing with, a lot of people in the program had substance abuse. I started binge eating again when I was alone in my house. So while you were watching hours of movies, I was probably stuffing my face with food, and food that typically would hurt me and cause inflammation.
Mm.
It was almost like I was punishing myself for the
Mm-hmm.
success.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to therapy, I learned a lot about forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiveness to the people that I felt like harmed me, but that they didn't actually harm me. And, forgiveness is a choice, but healing is a whole process. And
Oh
so I
yeah, it
went
takes
through a
time.
healing.
I'm
And
still working on it.
yeah,
Look
I
at
had
me,
to,
I'm a little bit overweight. I'm still working on the case.
well, I had to go back and deal with my childhood trauma too. And
Yeah.
so I went back into therapy about my childhood trauma and honestly, I think my childhood, if I could look at it in a positive way, is what gave me the grit and the resilience
Hmm.
and the scrappiness to be as successful as I was. So it was like a full circle moment. I was really successful, had this great exit, and I had all this time and this beautiful home. And here I was like super depressed and in therapy. But I got to deal with something I'd never dealt with, which was some of my childhood trauma, because I just pushed that down and I
Hmm.
never ever dealt with it. And I'm telling you, if you don't deal with the trauma you have, it's going to manifest itself in illness, which is why I think I got diagnosed with lupus and Sjogren's, which is why I created the cauliflower pizza crust to begin with. So it's like
Wow.
this seriously full circle moment. But I spent 16 months going to therapy 9 hours a week,
Wow,
9 to
Amy, that
15
was a lot, yeah.
hours a week. Yeah, it was a lot, but I learned so much. I learned so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And sometimes, I don't know if you're faith-based or not, but I am. But sometimes I think God's like the rejection you feel from whatever circumstance it is God's protection and redirection. And that's exactly what happened. Because if I hadn't gone to therapy, I would have never met the woman that sat next to me and told me about the fruit soursop. which is now my new company. I
Wow.
learned about soursop from this woman that randomly happened to be sitting in a group therapy session with me, told me about how she was using soursop for her daughter that had cancer. And I researched it. I started getting the fruit. I started playing with it. I started doing innovation. And 3 years later, I'm launching a company with soursop in it.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.